get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It, Restoration.
Welcome to another edition of the Service Guys podcast. I am producer Ruel Abadam, and over on the other mic is your favorite service professional and mine, Lonnie Beecham.
Hello, everybody in podcast land. How you doing?
Lonnie, what's going on?
Oh, it's great catching up with you, Ruel. It feels like I haven't talked to you forever.
I know, right? Here we are on the podcast.
Yeah, life gets busy.
Tell me about it. Yeah. What's been going on in your world?
Oh, looking at new mold remediation projects, doing some consulting work, cool. Renting out all my equipment, playing catch up with the family. My wife was out of town from Thursday until last night, so I was a single dad over the weekend with two girls at home. So, you just mix all that together. It makes for a busy day. I'm glad Mom's home.
Nice. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So business is bumping. You rented out all your equipment. So you're gonna have to, what do you do when, I know we talked about it offline, but what do you do when you rent out all your equipment and you've got more customers looking for your help?
Well, we always, contractor to contractor, we rent out our equipment. Since it's so specialized, it's hard to find. If a rental place has anything to rent, it's there's only like 5 air movers or 1 dehumidifier or something silly like that. Well, I need 4 or 5 dehus at a time and 20 air movers. So we just rent contractor to contractor. We all know each other and rent from each other and loan each other equipment and take care of each other. And we both make a little money. And I've been fortunate that all my projects that I have now just requires my mold remediation equipment. I haven't had to rent any water dry out equipment. So it's been a blessing, but it's always scary when you say, sure, I'll rent you everything I own. And it's scary that I don't know this guy that well, and I'm hoping to get paid since he's racking up hours on my dehumidifiers. But, we got contracts and stuff like that. But that's what we do. If I needed, 100 air movers, I would call 1 or 2 guys and they'd rent me everything that they own that they had to spare.
Very cool. So business is bumping and, good for you. Congrats on the work.
Well, thank you. Only when you do good work, what's our friend Benny say? Just do good work and it'll come to you. My philosophy is always to do the right thing first, whether it puts $1 in my pocket or not. I always want to do the right thing. And you know what? I've always been blessed. I've never had major issues, and I've never had anybody screw me too hard yet. So only time will tell, but so far, so good.
Cool. Hey, speaking of good work, you know what? For the podcast, for the Service Guy podcast, we have Apple Podcast or iTunes reviews. How about we kind of get into one of those and kind of share with the listeners out there?
Yeah. Do you have one handy to pull up and read?
Oh, yeah. I've got one. It's under customer reviews and ratings. It's sort of titled Good Info, Entertaining Stories. And it's by Ralph Lover 123. You and I know who that is.
Ralph Lover.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph Lover. And Ralph Lover says, I had no idea what I was getting into when I started listening to Lonnie start to tell Ruel the stories about all the mold and the critters. But it's wildly entertaining, and I hope they keep the crazy stories coming. I'm looking forward to hearing more from them. 5 stars. What do you think of that?
Well, thank you. That's impressive. I like hearing reviews.
Yeah. Ralph Lover captured basically what is the essence of why we do the podcast is to share those entertaining and crazy stories and get them from, eventually from other service professionals, like yourself.
Yeah, we need to work on getting a few of my friends that I know on here, and a few friends that we know together in podcast land and stuff. Hey, I got a dead animal story for you. It just popped in my head.
All right. Can't wait. Go ahead.
Well, it just reminded me. So for Sunday, I go out to light my own barbecue grill. I got a patio that's 20 by 40 out back, concrete patio, and lo and behold, I go out there and I grill almost every day. So overnight, I had this squirrel, like a full grown squirrel, just die right on my patio. And it's been 100 degrees out here, and so it was already, excuse me, it's already maggot infested, and just, it was nasty. And I kept smelling. I was like, what is that smell? It smells like money. And I go looking around, and sure enough, there's a dead squirrel with flies and maggots everywhere, stinking to high heaven. I was like, I hate working for free. So I had to go get
money coming out of its pockets and stuff.
Yeah, right, except for I was working for free. So, so I had to go, I just went and got a trash bag, and then I didn't have all my professional chemicals at home. So you want to know what I did?
What'd you do?
It was right near some a wooden structure, grill, area where I have my grill and stuff. So I hosed down the wooden structure with water, and then I poured gasoline on it. And when I picked up the squirrel, all the maggots and all the guts just fell out. So I had to scoop up what I could of the guts, and I poured gasoline on the maggots and lit it on fire.
I was going to say squirrel BQ, but it wasn't the squirrel. It was the maggot.
It was the maggots. And and then, apparently that's a good way to get rid of the odor whenever you just, had a lawnmower sitting in there with a little gasoline, and I poured it out there and lit it on fire, and it went boom. And none of my girls were home or nothing, but it cracked me up that at least I was like, man, it's so close to the wooden structure. I know when I put gas on it, it's going to ignite. And so I had enough forethought to kind of soak down my wooden structure, and I kept the hose right there ready to go. And I lit that on fire, and I don't have an odor issue. It doesn't translate very well to, being hired out to get rid of a dead animal in your house, and then, here, let me light it on fire with gasoline.
Awesome. We got to write a song and ask Anna Vicina to sing the song that goes by the melody of, what is it? Maggots.
I don't know.
By the open fire.
There you go. How do you like that story that just popped into my head?
I feel sad for the loss of life, obviously, but it happens, and it's part of life. And so maggots are gone, guts spilled out. You had a little bonfire, and then you just the rest of the remains you just chucked in the trash.
Yeah, wheeled it out to the street in the dumpster thing 3 days early. So, neighbors kept asking, what is that smell? And I had to tell them, like, sorry, I had to throw a carcass in there. Like, you bringing your work home? And I said, no, it was actually on my back patio. I mean, what do? I can't just let nature take its course on my patio.
Yeah. So your neighbors know, well, they can't miss it. I mean, what you do, right? Because you've got like a big old van with a sign, so everybody knows what you do around the neighborhood.
Well, I don't put, dead animal retrieval on the side of my vehicles, but the ones that know me well, they do know what I do, and hence why we kind of have this podcast going, because they always ask about my day and what weird, crazy thing I've ran across lately, and so here we are kind of talking about it. Just kind of coincidental, it's happening right on my back patio as I'm trying to light a grill to barbecue some hamburgers and some ribeyes.
Well, I have a dead animal incident as well, but it's not as exciting, and it doesn't involve fire and gasoline. It's just, we talked about it before. I had a field mice going in the garage and whatnot, and I still keep the traps in set, and just recently caught one And thought, yeah, I'll definitely talk about this on the podcast, but there isn't much to it. Just using some sort of object to pick up the trap and the dead mouse and releasing it into the green cart. Yeah, that's my dead animal story.
And you got to get a contraption to pick it up. What are you, a wimp or what?
Yeah, I didn't have my my personal protective suit of that like you got. I don't know. I keep thinking I hear your voice in my head. Mice are nasty. You don't know what they're carrying. So then I don't want to touch the trap with my bare hands unless I really have to. And yeah.
Oh, you just pick up the trap, throw it in the green cart, and go wash your hands and be a man.
Okay.
Did you have a pink foo-foo umbrella drink afterwards, or
no? But I had.
Did you cry about it or anything?
I had my star wand, my wings, and my tutu on.
All right. Well, you have that going for you, I guess.
All right, that's cool. Let's roll into other things.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we have some show notes here, and I had something go on happen at home, and I guess I'll describe it, and then hopefully you have some to say about it.
Okay.
It has to deal with the dishwasher air gap.
Okay.
So for those who don't have dishwashers,
who doesn't have a dishwasher?
Hey man, I didn't have a dishwasher growing up, and where I grew up. So I never even knew it was an air gap. I had to Google the damn sort of what do you call it? The
terminology.
Yeah, like the components of the thing. So I learned that the thing that's popping out of the sink that is connected to the dishwasher somehow is the air gap. So this thing on top of the sink at home had been leaking water from the dishwasher for a while, and I know you one of the things that you say is don't let little problems fester, because those little things can become big problems and costly expensive and could lead to things like mold.
Right.
So I figured, okay, I'll have to deal with this. I knew that there had to be some sort of blockage somewhere, and I did more Googling to try and understand, okay, what am I dealing with, and what can I have access to and figure out, so in the end, I had to just clear out blockage that was on the hose that connected from the air gap to the the garbage disposal, or whatever you call it, the sink disposal, whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I had seen water come through, so I figured there can't be a blockage, but I removed the thing anyways, and I kind of ran through it, and sure enough, there was enough buildup to cause the problem. So did that, ran a test, and then ran a real cycle, and then super happy, got it resolved. But as a result of it being a problem for a period of time, there's in the sink, there's what is that caulking of some sort between the sink.
Well, it depends. It could be plumber's putty, or it could be silicone caulk.
Yeah, I guess it's silicone, and but it's kind of worn out. It was pretty worn out to begin with, but now with all of the frequent drainage or overflow from the air gap, it just messed it up. So I'm thinking that I have to spend some time just kind of redoing that whole silicone. What is it? Is it even, what is it called? Is it putty? Is it caulk? What is it?
Well, the plumber's putty goes under the rim of the sink itself.
Okay.
Well, do you have an undermounted sink or an overmounted sink? Is it stainless steel?
Yeah, it's under.
Oh, it's an undermount.
And
that seam is deteriorating.
Yeah, at least what's visible from
Okay, well that's that's a little different. That's going to be more of a construction adhesive that'll hold it together, and then it should have been clear silicone right around the pretty side, so that you don't see the goo and all that junk. So yeah, just get you a caulk gun and cut the tip off as small as you can, and with some clear kitchen grade mildew resistant silicone, and call it good. Press your wife and tell her, look at this, hon, and make some grunting noises. And also, being a married man with kids, stretch this job out as long as possible. And then she'll be really impressed and fix you a nice dinner.
Wow. Okay. Well,
that's a simple one.
So I'll have to remove the existing stuff all around, and I imagine I'd have to prep the area before I apply the new stuff. Is there anything specific I need to do about that? Is it like when you put a sticker on a protective layer over your iPhone case, you've got to swab it down with some alcohol before you apply the thing?
Well, are you capable of detaching your undermount sink? Because usually there's a lip that's resting on the underside of your cabinet, or the unfinished side of your cabinet. Usually you can't detach it without pulling your countertop off.
Yeah, I'm not capable of that.
Well, then get you a razor knife, an X-Acto knife, a sharp implement of some sort. Scrape out any of the old, and then get rid of that. Wipe it down. Definitely, rubbing alcohol is a great cleaner. Just get rid of all the residue and all the old adhesive residue, and then once you dry it off real good, then just get you some clear silicone and recaulk it with clear kitchen grade mildew resistant silicone.
Okay. Now I could do that. Now here's the other piece. There was enough moisture over time to go through that sealant and go under the cabinet. And if I stick my head far back enough under the sink, I could see the wood under the cabinet, and I could see where the moisture had been in contact.
Yeah.
Is there? Without having to do a whole remodel, is there sort of stuff I can do to help any of that? Like to ensure that there isn't any mold? Is there I know you had mentioned in other conversations things like a biocide or something. Like, do I take hydrogen peroxide in a spray and just spray the heck out of that area, then dry it out?
Well, how long do you think this has been going on before you noticed it?
It can't have been all that long when the problem was there. The overflowing air gap. But so I'm guessing that the sealant was just a problem before the air gap problem.
So just a simultaneous snafu that you're just now noticing.
Yeah, and from what I could visibly see, where there's wood, it's there had been contact with moisture, but it's not like.
And it's well, you got a granite countertop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the wood that you're talking about, is it on the cabinet, or on the sink cabinet, sink base?
Yeah. So it's the granite, then there's wood under that, and then the sink is somehow mounted under all of that stuff.
Well, you can always use hydrogen peroxide, something like that, where it's an ongoing water situation that may have gone on longer than you realize. Yeah. You can go to any hardware store and get a diluted version of something that we would use called concrobium. Don't ask me how to spell it. I can get you the information offline. But you can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, concrobium. it's diluted down for the do-it-yourselfers. When we buy it, it's like 1 ounce per gallon or something like that. So I don't know what their dilution ratios are, but that's also a great product to keep on hand. It's relatively safe for family and kids. I mean, obviously don't let, the pets drink it or the kids drink it, but a little spritz of that will go a long ways. Or just the 97-cent brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide goes a long ways as well.
Okay. So just
treat that area.
Yeah.
Spray it down, let it dwell. If you're going to let peroxide dwell, let it sit there for 5 minutes before you wipe it off and dry it off.
Okay.
And concrobium, you'll have to read the label. I honestly don't know what the over-the-counter, diluted stuff that DIY people will use. I don't know what their time recommendation is, but every EPA registered product like that will tell you how long to let it sit there, and then just wipe it off, and then maybe put a fan, leave it open overnight or something like that, and you'll be good. And then caulk it with clear silicone on the pretty side of the sink base, and then if you can get your caulk gun back there far enough and close enough, just for good measure, caulk the silicone around on the inside on the ugly side of the cabinet, and just caulk it too, and then you'll be good.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, doing this podcast makes me more concerned about things like that. And
well, and even though I'm in the mold remediation business and water damage dry out business and stuff, a lot of it's just kind of literally just common sense.
Cool.
Places like kitchen sink, bathtubs, toilets, or bathroom vanities, washer hookups and stuff. There's always a certain amount of water that just happens, especially if you have kids and they like to quote unquote swim in the bathtub and stuff. Your kids are probably still young enough, they like to swim. So anyway, anywhere you're going to have an exuberant amount of water, you're going to have some sort of issue. But keeping peroxide on hand or concrobium on hand goes a long ways in those areas.
Awesome. Cool. How about we roll into talking about restored restoration?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Just want to let the listeners know about restored restoration, and if we have listeners out there that are in the service areas, let them know more about it. I'll let you do that.
Well, Restore Restoration specializes only in water-related endeavors. A lot of my colleagues, they'll chase a fire one day, and then they're, drying out a house one day, and some will do trauma cleanup and stuff like that. All I deal with is water-related activities. So, general, just carpet cleaning, ceramic tile cleaning, water damage, dry out situations, mold remediation, and then I do have a subspecialty of animal retrieval. Dead animals in tight quarters, and essentially what they're looking for is a home to live and raise babies, and they're looking for a food and water source. So ultimately, it still gets back to a water-related activity. There's, squirrels and raccoons and skunk and everything else, they're just like you and I. They want to drink every now and then, and a place to lay their head and stay out of the heat or the cold. And that's really all I do. I'm not a maid service. I don't do fire restoration. I used to. I've done 12 years of fire restoration work, but I don't do it anymore. So it's just cleaning, carpet cleaning, ceramic tile cleaning, water damage dry out, and mold remediation, and then animal retrieval services. And that's basically what I do all day, every day.
Awesome. And so I have it here. If you have a problem, folks, and you are in the vicinity of Jefferson City, Missouri, there are other service areas mentioned on the website at restoreit-restoration. Restoration.
Come on, IT guy. You're my IT guy, and you don't even know my website. Come on now.
Okay. You say it. You say it.
You're fired. You're fired. Send me your invoice, and we'll be good to go. It's restore-it-restoration.com is my website, or Google Restore It Restoration in Jeff City, Missouri, and you can find me probably a lot easier that way.
Cool. There you go.
I'll tell you one thing I need to learn how to do, because there is a huge need in my area, but I have all these local universities and large churches that have huge bat and pigeon problems, and I honestly do not know how to safely contain the church building or the large university up in the bell towers and stuff to get rid of the bat guano or the pigeon droppings in a safe manner to keep the public safe. And that's a huge thing right now. I have 12 different locations that are needing these services, and either their money budget is way too tight when you're talking 50-foot ceilings and a church that's 100 foot by 100 foot and it's 50 foot tall. Just automatically you're starting with a big price tag. But that's one of the things I'm kind of working on behind the scenes, is trying to figure out how to safely contain and capture all that, the droppings and the dead bats and that sort of thing.
Hey, so why don't you put it out there for the listeners who, if any of the service listeners out there who have that knowledge, put it out there for them to reach you for help, or
Oh, please! If somebody can talk logistics with me, there's money to be made. I would even pay to have somebody come in and pay them to consult to make this happen.
How do they reach you?
They can reach me at, what's my new email address?
They can reach you at Lonnie at restore
there you go.
restoration.com. And we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, this is honest here, guys. I have my personal email, but my business email, I just divert everything over to Ruel. So yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, and they can reach you on through the website as well. So there you go.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm out there. You can Google my name, Lonnie A. Beecham, and you can find me pretty easy. I'm out there just about everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on the web, on podcasts. Let's see. Do we have any war stories on your side for this episode?
Let me think here. I got a crazy. Well, it's not really crazy. It's just an overabundance of mechanical machinery parts in a house that has mold damage, and they're asking me to clean it for mold, and I had to tell them, like, I've never had to disinfect or remediate mold off of a Jeep chassis body and plasma cutters and 10,000 pounds of steel tubing. So that was a new one. Just 2 days ago, I was looking at that, and they're like, "How much is it to clean this?" I'm like, "I don't know. It'd be cheaper for you to pull it out, put it in a storage locker than what I'd charge you to clean it." Because I don't know how to. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean, could you imagine taking a HEPA vacuum to every square inch of a Jeep chassis that's on wheels and that's it, no motor, just the body and all the underside and the nooks and the crannies? I'd charge them more than what the chassis worth.
Wow.
So that was just that was Monday, I think, and yeah. So I don't know what's going to end up happening.
I didn't even think that mold can grow on things like a Jeep.
Well, they have this family has one of the higher mold counts that I've seen in a long time, and And that was before he brought the Jeep chassis into the garage. And since then, so he wheels this thing out that's been sitting outside in the elements for years. And there's tree limbs, just tree sap and grass, and you just name matter. It. Lots of organic matter just sitting there. And a lot of it would just, sweep out first real fast. But, do you really want to pay me to do it? I mean, don't get me wrong. I would, gladly do it, but it doesn't make sense to pay me to do that whenever he can only sell the chassis as is for $1,000 or less. And it's going to be, HEPA vacuuming everything once and then wiping everything down once and then HEPA vacuuming everything again. I mean, that's going to be, just lots of labor. That's going to be as much or more than what he can even sell it for.
Wow.
So,
okay, that makes sense. You basically have organic stuff sitting in this thing, and then you bring it indoors, whereas it isn't exposed to air, and then there's an opportunity for mold. And
and in this family situation, unfortunately, he wheeled it right into the garage, right next to his forced air system. That's a fancy word for saying air conditioner and heater.
Yeah.
But it's sitting right there. So it's like, I could only imagine what the mold spore count's going to be now. If they were to run a test now, it'd be even more astronomical. I mean, these numbers were higher than I've seen in a couple of years. And visually, you can hardly see any mold. But yet the spore counts are there. So just because you're not seeing the mold growing up the wall doesn't mean you don't have a situation.
Okay.
How's that for a war story? I don't know if that's a true war story, but that's the most.
But it's something to think about. I mean, taking stuff that you've kept out for a while and then deciding to bring it in, and then not even thinking about, God, I'm going to place it right next to some sort of air intake system that pumps it into the house, and what's that going to, this weird chain reaction of events that could mean, your health.
Yeah. And then as I was wrapping up and I was talking to, generally in these situations, everybody wants the man, the husband to talk to me and which is fine. But I made it a point to go talk to the wife and, talk to her and get to know her a little bit and answer any questions she has. And then she proceeded to tell me that her dad had moved into some apartment that had lots of mold growth, and he decided to just go wipe it up. And within 6 months later, he has some big, she said, softball-sized tumor growing on his neck. And the doctors are thinking it's from the mold inhalation without wearing, proper PPE and stuff. And she was asking me about that. I'm like, I don't know. I said, I'm not a doctor. I can't talk medical, but I said, I've never heard of that. Doesn't mean it's not possible. But so, yeah, she's all of a sudden, she's really freaked out about having this mold problem in this house. And so they're all about getting it taken care of.
Oh, that's scary. If there's a connection with things like that and getting sick like that. Oh. All right.
Yeah, that is real scary. It's scary for me because it's, it's a daily work hazard for me. I don't really want to grow a tumor.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that war story of the episode. So why, with everything that we've talked about so far, can we come up with a maintenance tip for the episode?
I gave you one earlier, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Besides getting concrobium, keeping. Are you there still?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Sorry, I'm getting a work call. Keeping hydrogen peroxide on hand, and in these small situations, keeping concrobium on hand from your local hardware store. And what was the other one I told you? I said something else. I can't remember what it is.
Well, you can put gasoline over maggots, and it's a good way to kill it.
But first, if you're going to do that, hose down your wooden structure so that it's not quite so flammable. I guess my only tip is just keep a spray bottle with hydrogen peroxide or chromium on hand, and any small leaks, just wipe it up. Keep it wiped up with those sort of things, and they're biocides, and they'll kill any critters that are by anything biological that's gonna develop from there.
Awesome. Maintenance tip. Before I think this is an episode. What do you think?
I think so, especially now that I just got a text from a guy saying I'm in your neighborhood, got a pretty big bat job. I need you to give me a call. So I'm going to have to go all of a sudden.
Okay, so let's wrap up. As a reminder, folks, if you found value in the Service Guys podcast, share it with people you know. We'd love it if you would head over to Apple Podcasts, also known as iTunes. Give us a rating and a review, and also leave comments.
Not just any rating, Ruel.
You're right.
We need 5-star reviews, and it doesn't matter what you say. You can say I like bat guano. It doesn't matter. Just say anything. Just write a review telling us that you eat mold for breakfast. Write a review saying that you have bat guano in your house. Anything like that. Just it's not for us. It's for the algorithms on iTunes or Apple. What's it called now? Apple Podcast or whatever. But yeah, just write a review and leave 5 stars. It doesn't even matter what you say. Just say anything on there, but leave us 5 stars, and it helps everybody find this podcast.
Fantastic. And Service Guys Podcast is accessible online on Twitter, Service Guys Pod, on Facebook, Service Guys Pod, and on Instagrams as Service Guys or Service Guys Pod. Yeah, you'll find us. So, want to close this out?
Yes. On behalf of Ruel, Abadam, and Lonnie Beecham with the Service Guys, the podcast has been brought to you by Restore It Restoration out of Jefferson City, Missouri. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
And get your life
back to normal.
Awesome.
Go get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It Restoration.